Michael Edward here, head trader at True Trading Group. November 14th, another really sloppy day in the market. Nothing really to smile about coming out of today. Another really weak day in the overall markets. A SPY just straight down all day. We had one bounce attempt between 2 and 3 o'clock. Was very short-lived. Ended up pulling back and giving back a lot of that bounce going into the final hour of the day. And this video, what I'm going to talk to you guys about, has a lot to do with game planning and an understanding that you can't go into a trade without a very clear game plan. I made 2 trades today. My first trade of the day was a loser. It was a long setup on a mid-cap stock that it was a good setup. I just think that the overall weakness in the morning in the market just really kind of pulled the play down. And I didn't get any real continuation, or I didn't get any actually movement in the right direction in the stock. It had one quick surge off the bell, but then once the market started to fade around 10 o'clock and the market started to really pull itself in, like right in here, you see when the market we had the gap up, we were strong off the open, and then we just started to fade that gap all the way down. We ended up going red very quickly on the day. We were up 250 points, and by 11 o'clock in the morning, we were red. And I think that action really kind of pulled my long play down. But then I stayed focused and then went after a short on PCG and just hit an absolute home run. So I ended up making back well more than what I lost on the first trade to finish the day up nice. Not a huge day, but a nice green day, because I really hit a home run on that short trade. And I'm going to get into that with you. The talking about a game plan is all about the second trade. That second trade with a short on PCG is kind of where the lesson lies. But just for the sake of the video, let me go to my first trade of the day. It was on Goose. Okay, it was on Goose. I'll start on the daily chart. Okay, on the daily chart, you can see here we opened up today above the previous all-time high, and we just shot right through it like a bat out of hell. And Goose just opened up and ripped. Okay, this stock opened up at 67.15 and within minutes was at 72. Okay, huge volume off the open. Okay, as the stock pushed and surged higher. You can see as we push and surge higher, we then pull ourselves in, and you can see VWAP starting to hold support here. You see a very, very clear decrease in volume as the stock consolidates and trades sideways. Here comes the trade line working its way up. I got long this Goose right in here, okay, looking for a trade line VWAP crossover, and then eventually for the stock to push up towards the high of the day and give me some continuation after how strong the stock was off the open. But right around 10 o'clock is when the overall market started to fade. And then you can see I never got the trade line VWAP crossover. We broke below VWAP, and I ended up stopping out of the position right in here. I'll take it to my trade announcements, guys. Here we are. Let me zoom in. Okay, here you are at long Goose 70.99 and ended up selling out of the position at 69.85. So I started the day off red on the day with my first trade. And like I said, guys, the stock kind of fell apart there just after 10 o'clock. I don't think it's a coincidence that just after 10 o'clock is when the market started to fade this gap up. Okay, so I think that was just an example of a strong stock just kind of getting pulled down with the market on the big gap up. Okay, next PCG. Okay, this is where I made all my money today, short in this move. Okay, but going into the day in pre-market every day, I go over and chat with all of our members, my game plan, the stocks that are on my watch list, what I'm expecting them to do, what's my game plan, where I'm looking for support to hold, where are my levels of resistance, how am I looking to trade this particular stock, and what am I expecting the stock to do. That way, when you have that game plan, you're ready when the stock starts to make its move, and you're not caught like a deer stuck in headlights, and you freeze. You're ready to act. And PCG today was gapping down. PCG is an energy company out in California that may be responsible for one of the fires that have started in California. There is kind of talks here that some of their equipment was sparking and may have been the original cause for one of the fires. And if that ends up being true, the liabilities that the company may incur will exceed their insurance coverage. Okay, which kind of brings into light some liquidity concerns with the company, and that's why the stock has gotten absolutely pummeled the last several days. Look at this daily chart, guys. This stock was at $50, and boom, boom, boom. I mean, this stock's just gotten crushed, has lost 50% of its value in just a matter of days, and it's on the back of that news. So with this gap down on PCG, so here you see we had the gap down today. Here's today with this gap down. I knew there was going to be action in PCG with the volume that the stock is trading, the big gap down, the catalyst, the news. It's being talked about in the media. I knew there was going to be action, but I wasn't sold one way or the other. I didn't have a clear game plan. Okay, I wasn't really necessarily bullish. I wasn't necessarily bearish. I wasn't sure if we were just going to gap down and roll over. We were going to gap down. We were going to put in a double bottom at that previous low that was sitting there around like 25 from the other day. We were going to kind of bounce back. I didn't really know. I didn't have a clear game plan. So I told all of our members in chat, guys, I'm watching PCG, but I don't have a clear game plan. If you find yourself with a stock that's very volatile pre-market, you know there's going to be action, but you can't seem to make up your mind, or a game plan's not clear, you have to be patient. You have to wait. You have to wait and give the stock enough time to give you more information to help develop a game plan. And there's a lot that goes into a game plan. Just saying, oh, I think the stock's going up, that's not a game plan. A game plan is, where are you going to enter this position? Where are you going to take profits if you're right? Where's your stop loss going to be? Where are you going to cut losses if you're wrong? Okay, are you going to scale into this position? Are you going to go tier 1? If you are, where are you going to add tier 2? Are you going to go full position right off the bat? Okay, what's the risk reward ratio on the trade? Is it a 1-for-1? Then you shouldn't even make the trade. Is it a 1-for-2, 1-for-3? Okay, all of these things you need to be able to answer before you enter a trade. And if you cannot answer all of those questions, then you should not be in the trade. Okay, and I could not answer those questions early in the morning pre-market in PCG. Okay, usually I have, okay, guys, I want to see this support level hold. If this holds, I'm going to look to enter here. I'm looking for this resistance. Like, I usually have an idea, plan of attack. I didn't have that on PCG, so I had to wait. Okay, I waited until I can develop a game plan. We gap down, push off the open, pull back in, come back up here, and then this red candle is what got me to say, okay, I'm now going to start to look short. Why? We kind of put in a little bit of a double top up here. Obviously, you can see we tailed through this. Okay, we put in a little bit of a double top in here, and you have the trade line that worked its way in. The trade line became resistance and then pushed the stock down below VWAP. Once we pushed the stock down below VWAP, I started to notice right in here, we were holding below VWAP. The stock could not get back above VWAP. Meanwhile, the trade line's working its way down, and I'm looking now for a trade line VWAP crossover as I entered a short position right there in PCG. Take it to my trade announcements. Here we are at 1021, short PCG at 2780. Okay, 2780. There's where I entered my short position, looking for a trade line VWAP crossover to the downside, and I'm looking for that to push the stock down to the low of the day. Let's draw a line across the low of the day. Okay, we get the trade line VWAP crossover, and you can see right away that trade line starts to become resistance. We push the stock down, right down towards the low of the day. I took my first profit off right there in front of the low, just to be prudent. You don't want to get stuck in a double bottom. So I took some profit right there. Back to my trade announcements. Took some profit, covered PCG 2718, still holding some. Okay, still holding some. Then you can see, once again, look at here. The trade line is still acting as resistance, still holding that stock down. Now I'm looking for a break below the low of the day, and I'll look for some extension. There you guys can see, again, more resistance at the trade line. Stock cannot get back above the trade line. We break below the low of the day. We start to extend lower. I take more profit off the table at 1102. Took more profit, PCG 2669, still holding some. Okay, so just after 11 o'clock, I took some more profit off the table right on that break down through the low of the day. Still holding on to one last piece. We bounce back. Look at here you have again more resistance at the trade line. Stock rolls itself over, breaks down, makes another new low, and I get flat right there. My final take profit on this, my target on this trade was 25. Why 25? We go to the daily chart. That was this previous low. That huge tail, that low, that's 25. That's why I said to myself, that's my target on this trade. I got that extension move to the downside, and I took my final profit. It covered my last piece at 25.26. Nice big trade, big win, more than covered my loss on Goose, and I even left some more on the table. You can see we actually ended up breaking below 25. All hell broke loose. The stock collapsed another 1.5. We got halted here briefly, went all the way down to a low of 22.35. Okay, so I left a lot on the table there, but you're never going to catch, the stock's entire move. I was still very happy with the trade. The stock, I had a game plan. The stock reached my target. I took my profit, locked it in. When a stock reaches your target, you've got to pay yourself. That's what I did, and I waited until I can develop a game plan. I waited till I had enough information from the stock to say to myself, okay, now here's the game plan. I'm looking short. Why am I looking short? This is the reasons why. I'm looking for that trade line and VWAP crossover. We're holding below VWAP. Okay, I can clearly identify my stop loss. My stop loss at the time, guys, was going to be right in here. Right in there was going to be my stop loss, and right there is my entry. Okay, so here's my entry, here's my stop loss, and here's my final take profit. Now, if that's not a good risk-reward ratio, then I don't know what is. Okay, so I can very clearly identify my risk-reward ratio. My target on the trade was 25. I'm short from 27.80. Okay, I have a game plan. And that's what you have to wait for. If you cannot develop a game plan, if you can answer all of those questions, then you should not be in the trade. You can't pull the trigger. Okay, that's kind of what the lesson is about today. All right, so good stuff. I'm coming to you guys from Vegas. I'm out here in Vegas. Hopefully that I have more luck today at the tables than I did yesterday. Hopefully the luck that I had kind of trading today with a nice green day, hopefully that rubs off on the blackjack table and the craps table, because yesterday wasn't so nice to me. So we'll see what happens. I'll see you guys back in here tomorrow morning, and make sure you develop your game plans. See you guys in chat. Take care.